All right, so what can we do with that information? Well, we can make equivalent fractions, all right, and we can turn fractions into decimals. So let's start with this. So we have 4/10. So if I have 4/10, okay, and then if I put my lines across here, I would have how many hundredths? Well, to get 100 on the bottom, I'd have to say 10 times 10. Whatever I do to the bottom, I must do to the top. So I would have 40 hundredths. Okay. So how would I write that as a decimal? Well, 4/10, put our decimal point there. Our tens, ones, tenths. So I would have 4/10. Whenever you put a 0 at the back there, it doesn't change anything or do anything. So you could add a 0 to make the 40 hundredths. So unlike on the other side of the decimal, if you added, say, if you had this, and you added a 0 here, that would make it a different number. That is different than this. It would be like if you had one whole and you added a 0 here. It doesn't change the number. Okay. So what would we do here though? If we want to go from hundredths to tenths, what would we do? We would divide by 10. So if I'm going to divide that by 10, I must divide the top by 10. So I'm going to say 60 divided by 10 is 6. Okay, now let's write it as a decimal. So 60 hundredths would be 6 in the tens place, 0 in the hundredths, or 6/10. Okay, those are the same. Those are also equal. They are the same number. Okay. And really, your work is just that. You're going to turn your decimals into fractions. A couple points, they ask you to fill in the models that they've drawn, but it's really that simple. So if I say this is 4 hundredths, okay, and I want to know what that's equal to, I'm going to see this. So there's nothing in the ones place, and they've put a decimal there for me to get started. So I want 4 hundredths. Well, I've been working on tenths and hundredths, so this is the tens place. So am I going to put the 4 in the tens place? No. I'm going to put it in the hundredths place. Now, can I just do that? No, because I have to have a placeholder. Okay? Just like if I was trying to write 100, I wouldn't do this. I would have to write my placeholders. Remember, my zeros are my placeholders. All right, what if we did 13 hundredths? Okay, well, let's go ahead and do the model of this so we can see it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, so I have, what do I have in the tens place there? Tens place, I have 110, and then I have 3 hundredths. So that's going to equal 1/10, 3 hundredths. Okay. Because you have 100 here, your number can't go past 2 places past the decimal. Because if you did this, that would be, this is the tenths, hundredths, and thousandths. That's why that would be incorrect. Let's try doing it from a decimal to a fraction. So there's lots of ways you can do it. You can draw a picture if you need to, those sort of things. But let's just say the decimal. So the decimal is 41, and I'm going to say the last place that I have a number. So it's the hundredths. So I'm going to say 41 hundredths. And I said exactly what I need to write for my fraction, 41 hundredths. Okay? So when you say decimals, you're going to say the last place value that your number's in. So you're going to say 41 hundredths. What if you saw this and they wanted to know how many tenths it was? How many tenths is that? We have 2 numbers here, and we have a number in the hundreds, but what is the number in the hundreds? It's a 0. So do we really have anything in the hundreds place? No. So we have 9/10. What if they wrote it out 6/10, 3/100, like that? So let's do the decimal and the fraction. So let's start with the decimal. So we have 6 in the tenths place, and we have 3 in the hundredths place. What's the last number that I said? Hundredths. So that's what's going to go on my denominator. 63 is going to go on my numerator. What if we tried to trick you and we said 90 hundredths? Well, 90 hundredths, let's write it out as a decimal first. So the last thing we say is hundredths, right? The last thing we say is hundredths. So we're going to do 90 hundredths. But looking at that, remember we said the 0 doesn't it's just a placeholder. It means we have nothing there. So we really have 9/10 or 90 hundredths, okay? All right. The one last thing I want to look at is this. So what if I have 7 hundredths? How do I do that as a decimal? What does that look like? Well, let me draw my lines real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So if I go up to 7, okay, do I have any tenths? Do I have one solid row of tenths? No, I don't. So when I go to write my decimal, can I put anything in the tenths place? No. So I have to put my number in the hundredths. And that is, let's say it together, 7 hundredths. I hope you're practicing saying those with me, because it is a little tricky at first. So 7 hundredths. So we have a 7 in the hundredths place. Okay? Same here. So if we have 8 hundredths, well, we would just count up one more. So we still don't have anything in the tenths. So I would still have to put a 0 there. And then I would put a, okay. It's not until you get to 10 hundredths, okay, then I would have one solid. So then what would I have? I would have 10 hundredths. Could look like that. It could also look like this. All right. And it could also look like that. Because remember, as long as you do whatever you do the top, you do the bottom, you could do it. So if I cross out a 0 here and I cross out a 0 there, I'm safe. Okay? All right. So again, use these videos as you go over your work. Start and stop them. If you're totally confused, you can ask a parent if they're available. If not, you can get a hold of me. Fastest way, remember, is text me and I can call you back and walk you through it. We can do it when I meet with you during the week. Whatever works best for you. All right. I just want you to I want you to learn these skills. Okay. All right. Thank you guys.